Okay, Wally's front electronics panel has a main outer frame, which is this piece here. That prints in a downwards orientation, and it has 4 of the M3 by 6mm heat inserts embedded into here, here, and here. The other pieces that are printed is there is a red, print this part in red, the button or the LED. Print that in red so it diffuses the light. It's just a white LED and it will diffuse it red when that comes on. There's a small insert in here. On the front of this, I've got some clear, I think it's 0.5 millimeter thick. Yeah, packaging, recycled packaging material is what the lens is. You could make this out of 1.5 mil PETG or whatever that's probably what it would be. 1 mil, 2 mil. Cut a piece out. Same for what I've done with this one. There's a piece insert in here which prints, another insert here for the screen, and then the top of where the buttons are, which we'll have a look a bit more at a test piece for that. The button piece is a single print, and there's 2 heat inserts into underside of that button, and then 2 screws will come through here to retain that. On this part here, I've done this for my speaker that I have. I have a diameter 40, I think it is, millimeter speaker in the front. Yep, diameter 40 mil speaker in here. I have socket head cap screws that went through there just to make it look the same from an appearance point, and the rest of these are just sort of fake cap heads printed on with buttons and whatever. The screen here that I have in the moment is just a single print. Push it out so we can have a look. This is just a single print, and I did this for people that potentially, if you have a static build and you don't want to have a screen powered up, or so this is literally just printed all black, and then I've gone over with yellow paint and just painted on the front. And yeah, if you just had a static build, this would look pretty good. You can put that in, but of course just cut out the piece of Perspex or PETG or whatever the material is you're going to use, or packaging material. Pop that in first, and that just presses in. I've just put a drop of super glue on a few of these spots in here. Again, people can push on the front, but it will be retained into the body. That goes in where the screw holes are in the body. And the buttons on this are functional, and they're printed functional buttons. So underneath in the button, I'll pull this one apart. All you need to do is get a small screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, and this button will just pry up from the front and then just pop up. And that one just broke, but it has a button that prints up this way. There's a small clear piece that prints as an insert, or again you could put some clear plastic in there like I've got on the front. This one just broke here, but I have a small, I don't have one on me, it's a square button that fits in here. I'll probably have to take one of these off then, just carefully. So there's a small button that sits underneath in here. These are a 7mm button. Let's get some measurements here. This is a 6mm button, 6x6. These are the ones that you can put onto circuit boards and stuff. And the height of the button itself is 4mm. So it's a 6mm square button, and it's a 4mm piece that sits out the top, which is the button bit. This is a cavity or a hole for a 5mm coloured LED. So I've got the red, the yellow, the green, the red, and I've got another yellow one on the end here. The buttons print as a single piece. They've got 2 little dimples that go on the back of that. Just trying to make sure that focuses. And this little piece at the front is to actually make sure that it lands and foots against that button. The idea is that when you push that down, it'll actually stop against the edge here, and then people can't press it too far and damage the buttons. And this will just go into the slot where the dimples are, click in at the back, and then you can press the buttons. I'm not going to go into all of the electronics for mine. I do have it that the buttons are functional, so the LED will light up each of these when it's wired up, and this will plays a random song, this will play a random sound, this will stop whatever's playing, this will be the power up sequence, so then the LEDs will light up in sequence and do the power up noise. Similar to some other builders, I'll have the red LED turn on when my battery voltage gets too low, and the screen will actually reflect the battery voltage on the LEDs as they light up from top down. The top two will stay on, and it will go down once it gets below a certain voltage. I'm running my system at 24 volts, so if it gets below, I can't remember what the safe voltage would be, maybe 18, I'll have the red light start blinking to warn me to go and stop driving and charge up the batteries. So it's quite a simple part, it's just a big box, it goes together quite easy, and you can fill it in here with whatever electronics you want. It depends how you have all this connected. What I do have here is 5 volts and ground, and 5 volts going to the first pin or button, and then just button signals coming back to the microcontroller. I do have it on mine that this is just some LEDs will sit in the back of this, and I've just put some bright yellow post-it note paper in here because my LEDs weren't coming through bright enough, and I just wanted to get that to really pop with a real bright yellow. They were more of a dull yellow for the ones that I bought, so that just made that color just pop a bit more once the light was behind it. So yeah, the top rail, you might need to adjust the buttons in dimensional size if they're too tight or too loose. Just adjust the size, the scale of this when you put it on the printer, just to get a nice fit for how that clicks in, that you actually get that actuation. And that's the front screen. This is 2 pieces as well. Again, this will just a drop of glue to hold that in, and I'll put all my electronics in here and get my sequence and programming done. I do have it that the buttons are functional as well, so when I press and hold the play button for more than 2 seconds, it'll increase my volume. When I press and hold the stop button or the stop button, it'll decrease the volume on Wally. Just so I have an external control for that, I've sort of run out of buttons on my transmitter. So I normally have a voltage potentiometer here, which is just volumes on my droids and robots, but this I've hacked in to use the button sequences on here to do animation sequences. And the other so that was one potentiometer, and the other one I put onto the 3-axis gimbal. So I'll have head up and down, head left and right, and then head left and right, and then head tilt. So I'll mix in the head, both parts of the head tilt up and down when I rotate. I'll go side to side with this on the gimbal. But that's the separate thing. So if you did have a static build, that'd be pretty much it. I painted this aluminium to start with as a base color, and then went over with a airbrush with a matte black to give sort of some of the dirty colors. Went in again with some orangey brown mix to get this pattern. I've also got a bit of sand on here as well before I did the first coat, and yeah, pretty happy how it came out. And that's the front control panel.